So welcome everyone for taking time out on this weekend. So today, this webinar on group coaching is based on a request from a lot of people that I received, and I spoke to quite a few people in the last couple of weeks. So I said, why not do a webinar? And a lot of people are interested. So today's focus would be on group coaching, and a lot of people asked about the structure, what are the challenges and design. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my knowledge, and feel free to raise any questions that you may have. Uh, Hi, welcome Anil to the webinar. So we're just about starting, and I'll be joined with my co-host Paramjeet Singh. He's also accomplished sales coach, and today he would be helping me with timekeeping and also uh, logistics and keeping an eye on the questions that you would be asking on the webinar. So let's start with a bit of context, So what's happened is that there has been a lot of changes in the last 6 months. We are seeing that because of the changes in the external environment, people are anxious. There is a lower employee engagement because they don't know how the future is going to be. And then there are challenges in terms of working from home and also reskilling the existing workforce. And because of lower sales, businesses revenues have come down and the margins have also come down. And that has led to a round of restructuring and resultant action on that. So what's the solution that we have? I think in this current situation, it's important to have clear communication, clarity, keeping the employees engaged, uh, focusing on their development so that they can channelize this energy in a constructive manner. So, and we can reskill our workforce by a variety of ways, like obviously a lot of training has moved online, and then there's group coaching, assessment, and timely feedback by the managers. So today I'll be focusing on the group coaching piece and what could be the resultant ways that we could go around it. So in the next 60 minutes, I'll be focusing around group coaching introduction. What is our WhiteLight methodology? The coaching platform that you could use in case you want to desire for using a success story, and how can we partner. But today's, just to set the context right, I think today's focus, the meat of the session is in the group coaching introduction, the design and the structure. So I'll spend more time on there. We'll go slowly so that we are able to cover questions, anything that you may have. So if I was to just sum it up in terms of what is group coaching, I think this is where a set of individuals come together, uh, uh, which may have common goals or common themes that they're wanting to address, and they have goals around it, and they set awareness and work around that by taking action and building accountability. And group coaching can be done with or without technology. With technology, you just can scale it up. Uh, the main benefits of group coaching, besides what you bring as a coach, is also in terms of the peer learning. That's the number one benefit, which I personally also experienced. Team bonding, and also it builds up support and renewal groups in terms of helping, where the employees can support each other. And that is not only during the coaching engagement, but it goes even after the coaching engagement, especially in this current environment. In fact, last 12 months itself, things were a little down, but just COVID accentuated it. So this, even the same set of employees, they get more closer to themselves because of the kind of experience that they go through in the group coaching when they are going through their goals, both in terms of the objectives and the challenges that they face, and when they support each other to reach to the goals. So from here onwards, I would go and ask you like any questions you have. So after each of these slides, the next 4 or 5 slides are the key. So how is group coaching different from one-on-one coaching? So I think coaching, on the left-hand side, you can see the coaching skills which are there, like listening, questioning, empathy, giving feedback, and goal setting. They are common in both the places. But what's really important, what comes to the fore in the group coaching is in terms of the group skills, which is in facilitation, time discussion, and also because we are interacting with a set of people across different geographies and sometimes time zones, then how do you connect with them? How do you motivate and engage with them remotely? That becomes important. And creating a safe space is very important. I would like to spend a bit of time on connect and engage, because when you are doing this group coaching, I think the connection is most important. You know, the first time that I was doing the group coaching, and I had a lot of questions in my mind, and ultimately, actually, I just went to the session with how do I connect to the individuals, and because we are talking of corporates here, uh, so the participants may know each other already, and they may not know the coach. So that's very important that you can do. How do you connect with them? And connection can start even before the coaching engagement, coaching session starts formally. And creating a safe space is very critical, especially where they are able to express themselves. Because sometimes, when they are, for example, a sales team and all, they may think that this is a sales review meeting, and it might take a session or two for them to get out of that zone. And lastly is about group contract, which is on that what as a group are we supposed to do? How do we, in terms of what are the expectations, what is the boundary, and how do we build accountability? Any questions?
Sure. My name is Radhakrishnan. I've written it short as RK there.
Yeah.
Two things. One is in terms of, my understanding I'm saying is a group coaching, is it that it could be individuals who are not interconnected in their goals coming together? And the second is a team coaching where it's a sales team of a particular product who are actually together, right, for a coaching. Now, in my limited view, possibly this is different because individuals not interconnected to goals, whereas there is one which is there is a unified business goal, right? I mean, a common business goal that they have.
Yes.
So that is one question that I have. What's the difference? And the second thing is when we're saying create a safe space, right? Now, in a one-to-one coaching, there is obviously a confidentiality, angle which is always there, right? From you maintain confidence. But in a group, how do you do that? So when you're taking them in a group and coaching them, there are bound to be some elements which could be the roadblocks, right? And it could be confidential. So how does one address that?
Okay, so to answer your first question on team coaching and group coaching, so you're right. So when a similar set of people come together, so typically sales team in a company, it's like a team coaching.
Yes.
Or you can call team coaching because the goals are similar. And when somebody is, for example, working towards cross-functional project for a group goal, okay, it could be a group coaching, or they could be individuals coming with different dimensions, kind of say 6 entrepreneurs are coming together. Yeah. And I think second is in terms of the safe space, your question was there. I think it's important to first is to connect with themselves, and what I've seen is in the group, connection is very important before you engage. And safe space, I think while you articulate it, it has to be felt by them. And that is also a function of your coaching presence besides the articulation. It is also a function of where that group is. For example, if the group is, when I'm talking of group here in this webinar, we're using the same team for the sake of team coaching only, the concept. So it's also about they may already be under pressure and all. So the safe space, you may say, but it might take couple of sessions for the safe space to get created, for them to feel that it's a safe space. Well, it doesn't happen automatically. Yeah. So did I answer your question?
All right. Yes, I've got a fair idea. Thank you so much, Sandeep.
So, now we're talking of how do we ensure the best outcomes and what are the coaching themes where group coaching would work. So, first is I think you need to identify which managers or employees would benefit from the group coaching exercise. That's very important. And also, I think before it's this, when you identify, you also need to ask the company what are the outcomes that they seek. And sometimes it can be very surprising. Like I was speaking to one company last week, and which is a large company, and they said that they have not formalized the KRAs for this year. And so because if the outcomes are not there, then don't do the group coaching, because the outcomes that you seek should define the structure. The first question, once you've identified. Second is in terms of defining the key themes. And I say some of the themes that lend to group are, if you're focusing on business development, leadership, career development, or personal development. So let me also mention themes that don't lend to the group thing. So if there are relationship issues, or if there are emotional challenges, stuff which requires in-depth individual one-on-one work, that may not lend to group coaching. In that case, one-on-one coaching might be a better structure.
Sandeep, can I just seek a clarity here? So, like the example which you gave, that organization did not have the defined KRAs. I mean, defining KRAs is a big objective.
Yes.
You can't do it over the coach. I mean, typically coaches don't do that.
Yes.
But let's say if somebody comes and says that I'm facing a particular issue because of this pandemic. My team is very good, but there are certain issues. So then maybe a coach can help the sponsor define the goal also. Would it be right?
Yeah, we can work with them, but it's important. It is important to decide the outcome earlier. And
absolutely.
How you would measure the progress.
Right.
What the final thing otherwise what happens is in the midway we start working and it can create complications.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Second is, I think about designing the program structure is very important. And in designing, the thing that stands out in group coaching which is really powerful, is that how to build accountability. And I'll come to that later, but building accountability is very important. And because we are working in groups, then if we are able to build self and group accountability, chances of the outcomes being achieved are much higher than if left to the individual. So that really helps move the things so that, and by that I mean, and that is why, content of the engagement is important, but the structure is even more important, because the structure would decide what happens between the coaching sessions, besides the coaching sessions. Then is about deciding the delivery and communication methods. How would you do? So I think currently for some time to come, it will be online, but there could be other methods also. So the case study that I would be sharing there, I did it on phone, because that was like 8-9 months back. And that time, client was not very comfortable whether the team members would be comfortable logging into Zoom. It seemed very exotic. Now everyone is obviously comfortable. So imagine, so I could address questions in case you have around the delivery part. And also about creating the coaching content. It will depend on, I think it's a mix. You can have a framework, but it's also guided by the real challenges that the participants are experiencing. Because what we would see is that they would also bring real life challenges, and that's why the coach needs to be a little courageous in terms of planning for that when they go to the session.
This is Renu. Yeah, hi Sandeep.
Yeah.
Sandeep, my question is, maybe my experience has little more towards being only towards the individual coaching.
Right.
So I feel that when it's a team coaching, okay. So for example, like somebody said, like a sales team, okay, and they, let's take a common purpose where we want to enhance the client facing skills for my sales team or a pre-sales team.
Yeah.
Now, looking at that, let's say this is a team of only 10 people, and we are talking about senior leaders, so 10 people, 5-10 people.
Yeah.
Now, my question comes in individual coaching. It's easier to deep dive and do a self discovery and figure it out. Where are you? Which level are you at? What do you want to do? But in team coaching, because it becomes like an organization prerogative to go and coach these people, and everybody has to get coached. And I don't know that out of these 10 people, who are the real ones who really want to do, and some of them are actually and already at the level where they feel everything is going fine, yaar, kyun karna hai, we've been matching our careers from last 20 years like that. And is it like one more session, one more training, okay, go and attend it, and we are going to go back and do our own ways, same stuff. It has been working for us. So basically there's no nudge in their head. They just come and probably attend and go back.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis in an individual, I think it's much more deeper. So what do you say, what's your experience? How can we reduce that gap, and how do we do it in a group or a team coaching? Same team, homogeneous group, everybody coming from the same field. But is there a way to kind of touch upon that?
Okay. What happens is typically like the kind of group that you're mentioning, people who come, they will have different motivations and different levels of participation initially.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And and there will be people who are saying we are okay. There are people who might be over enthusiastic, and there is also a third category of people who might be quiet. They're introverts. It's not that they don't want to party; they're just introverts. So how do we get them also on the thing? And once they get a comfort that they are in the safe environment, and once they start doing this thing, there comes a time, and there would be some flashpoints for sure, where like somebody will say, actually everything is okay, but I go to, like you're talking about the sales team, so I go to the market, but I'm just not able to sell. I'm doing everything, right? So everything you're saying is fine, and this comes like once they are comfortable, when safe space is there and they're comfortable, then they start stroke vent stuff, which is very good that at least they speak. That time, I think it is, so you will get a moment where it's not necessarily about coaching, but you will see that some of the co-participants pick up and they start telling the other person. And when they start telling the other person, then actually it becomes very authentic, because what happens is that more or less their goals are similar in team coaching. Complexity might change a little bit, or the level, quantum of the goal. What's happening is that both of the persons or the people are different because they have different life experiences. So they are seeing things from a different thing. So this person has hit a wall, even if he's trying. The other person sees from a different perspective. And when he says, I did like this and this, and then there's a flashlight on this person that comes. I'm just telling one of the situations, how it comes. And that can move sometimes. And then because it's coming from somebody who's in the same situation as this person who has an issue, it is more authentic or more credible in his eyes, vis-a-vis coming from his manager or from a coach. So once that happens, that really accelerates the adoption. That is one side of it. Okay. Other thing is that when you're doing it, I would say that pick up, like 2 professional and 1 personal goal. And, when people put up goals, they are very aspirational. Like, I'll take care of my health and blah, blah, blah. But actually, when you start doing, they will not do it. But in the group, what happens is, and everyone has his ups and downs, then they are able to support. Like somebody is following it, the other is not. This person can inspire and the other person can inspire at a later stage. So that constant inspiration happens. This peer-to-peer learning happens. Then in real life, they will have something which is basically not the goal, but a smaller thing. For example,
Yeah.
like you're talking of sales team and somebody will say, I can't do pivot table. I'm like aged
Hmm.
and I don't handle that. And one fine day, so I'm taking real life example, the other guy, he sat with another of the group participants separately outside the thing. And he like spent 3-4 hours. They had gone for a regional meet, and he understood that, and then he shared that. Actually, that was a big thing. So when he shared that and he said that I have overcome my hesitation to make it happen. So that also helps the things.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think these are some of the things I can
The
give.
the peer experience and the
Fear is
peer
very
sharing.
powerful actually. And what other thing what happens is that if you're having multiple groups, okay, so there could be best practices in one group which actually can be transmitted to the other groups. Like they only share and they transfer it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is a big thing, because normally when first the companies will try to do team coaching, they will say, okay, let's do, for example, you're doing sales, let's do the same region, yeah, and because they know each other. But
Yeah.
if you're doing another round, by that time you'll see the benefits. Then you'll say, why don't we mix region? Why don't we get two people from north and two people from west? Because some regions are doing well, some are not doing well, so you can mix and match people because they are getting different perspectives from them. Okay, when you're designing the program, I think some of the questions that come, so I'll try to answer that. And please. So how big do you want the group to be? So ideally, if you keep the groups 6 to 8 is super, uh, 10 is okay, going stretching it, but don't do it any case beyond 15. Okay. And the thing is that as the groups get larger, you need tighter structures for accountability and also to connect with all the individuals. So group
If I
size,
can,
yeah.
if I can just add one line here, Sandeep, on this. Just kind of trying to, uh, you know, add another point we were discussing in the previous question. So, difference between the individual and a group coaching is that in the individual, there's a bit of scope to drift away to some extent from the defined goals, which is definitely very very restrictive in a group, because because what we are addressing is the group goals. So for example, like I think the question was that, what if somebody says, look, it is not working in my area, so that becomes a specific thing. And then you can always say that, okay, for this, so either like Sandeep said, a group member addresses that or answers that, or as a coach you can say, okay, for specifics maybe we can have a separate discussion or separate interaction. Because if you get into addressing individual challenges in a group coaching, it may go all over the places. I just wanted to add this.
And I'll come to one of the methods later around how you can address what Paramjit just said. Later, when we can look at what are the different things that we can do in group coaching session. And second question is, who will be in the group? Like in the organization, it could be similar set of people, or if there is a group project, then there could be cross-functional people. And how long will be the program, and will the individual sessions be? Because sometimes you might want to club individual sessions with the group coaching in some cases, depending on the objectives. Other is, how often will you interact with your group? Uh, uh, like typically, it depends partly on the group size, objectivity, and I think between 2 weeks to a month is the ideal gap, the frequency that it should be there. And where will you meet? Uh, which platform? It should be something that people can actually use it, easy to use. Also, it should be, if it is, companies may have, somebody might have MS Teams or somebody might have Zoom. So how would you meet? That has to be sorted out. How will you meet? And also sometimes when there are people, there could be things about getting the people coming in the group. I think initially the first 2 sessions, it could be a challenge, especially on the sales side. But like from the third session, when they start seeing the results, people are more than happy. And that's why it's very important that how do you keep the connect between the sessions, what they are doing, sharing among themselves, and you as a coach how connected you are with them, and that can improve their participation, motivation, and engagement on working towards the goals. And I have worked on both technology side and also using WhatsApp, so I could share experiences in case somebody has questions around that. And how will you measure progress? Very important. That's why the start, try to define the outcome. What are the goals and how will you measure the start? Because sometimes clients may say, oh, let's start it because we would want our employees just at this point just to vent things and all, and then later point midway they will say yeah, but do we have a measurement around it and all. So my request would be that it's good to how to measure progress should be decided at the start itself. So how do you get the best outcomes? I think you could do live calls uh, uh, or webinars with recording, supplement either of them, scheduling content, and depending on the age group, you could also get even, I've had people sharing videos, or every week, sometimes just for accountability, we are having small things. They pick up one action for the week. Uh, and we start doing progress tracking and accountability. So I'll share in the later slides. But before we move forward, any questions around the design?
So I have a question here. So generally, um, we said about say two business and one personal. So I'm presuming this is going to be about what, 12 to 15 weeks sort of an intervention or a coaching engagement, or a group coaching also, or is it generally because it's a larger team involved, it could possibly stretch, or it could.
So normally
be.
I ask the client what is the need, but because both on one-on-one and in group, but I think in group, safe to assume minimum 4 months is required.
Okay.
Between 4 to 6 months.
So 4 months, which is twice a month, once in 2 weeks would account to about 8 sessions.
Yeah, and you can do it once in 3 weeks also. That's fine. It's because sometimes there might be an issue. Main thing is in the structure is that how do you keep them engaged between the sessions? So do you have a structure around it so that they are working on the goals, and there's accountability built in at this individual level as well as at the uh, group level. Yeah, because it's human behavior. See, what happens is once you do some things in group, it's you are almost 5 times more likely to achieve the goals. Like for example, if you are going to go to a gym, or going even at a personal level, or going shopping, or going do anything in a group, things happen much faster because you also get pulled in by the group to move ahead.
Thank
So
you, Sandeep.
structure is important. So you can do it 2 or 3 weeks. But Radhakrishnan, just to tell you, it is good to calendarize it beforehand. Okay. Especially when you're doing with larger groups, calendarizing is very important. So that otherwise you would waste a lot of times doing to and fro. So before the introductory session, okay, one of the things is that I'm assuming that the sessions have happened around the goals in detail for the individuals. Okay, just to tell everyone. So that sessions have happened either by way of workshops or IDPs, whichever way. That have happened. So they have some clarity on the goals to some extent, and ideally it should be in a similar format. So that's very important. And the first session, I think it's about reiterating the outcomes, because sometimes we find that the clarity in terms of the goals, they have put the goals, and the goals might be very broad or might be out of the realm of the group coaching engagement, or at least the time frame. So we have to be conscious, or it may be something which are not in their control fully. So we just have to vet those goals that they are something that these people can work around it, and telling what kind of support you will be giving and how to see your role as a coach. Because because these people who are in the organization, sometimes when you create a safe space, they may bring issues which are outside the realm of the coaching engagement, and that's why handling that also, it's important what will be focused here. what is your coaching intent? So typically, like I would form a half of a page coaching intent before I would go per session. So that my focus is only two things. One is to connect and engage with the participants in the first session. Second is to tell my coaching intent and to listen from them. Uh, and typically, if I have been involved in the goal setting exercise earlier for these things, so I would have some bit of a rapport with them. And also remind them, I think they are responsible for their outcomes and they have to take ownership for results. This is very crucial, and I think you can also look at it. One of the reasons why the group coaching works very well for participants and they are able to achieve a lot of outcomes is because they are not, it's not only coaching at the self level, but there is also group accountability that pushes them to achieve their outcomes. Okay, and how do you get the best outcomes in the final session? Asking people, each person, so this is qualitative, what they've gained from the program or what they like more of. And third point about the celebrating the success as a group, I would say that if you really want the coaching program to be successful, try to create success opportunities, celebrations, even in between, and encourage people to celebrate smaller successes in between. You know, for example, if it's a sales team and they're able to make a headway in something, let them celebrate. And what happens is that when they celebrate, they are able to come closer. And once they come closer, even the other goals, they're able to work deeper and the results happen. And because if you're sharing in a group between the coaching sessions also, that's why it's important to have a structure outside the coaching sessions. So if they're able to share as a group, then progress happens faster because people get inspired and motivated when they see that people at their similar levels are making progress. Also, sometimes coaches may organize individual calls if there are opportunities for upselling in specific cases, but not in all the cases, and making sure that they have clear information about the next steps. So how do they, I think in group coaching, getting the participants manager involved is also good, even for a very small parts regularly. So this person should, because I think it is because they are working not as an individual contributor, they are a function of the team. So it's more systematic. So what is the level of the manager's engagement? If he's able to spend even half an hour every month with the participant around the group coaching engagement, in those cases, the results are much faster and much better. So manager's involvement is very crucial. Okay, so how do you get best outcomes? I think, yeah, some people may do training if it's specific case. Otherwise, I think it's better to focus on the goals. Second is around hot seat. So if there are 6 people, 6 participants in the group coaching program, so group coaching doesn't mean that you spend 10 minutes with each one of them. It is also about whether you can get somebody in the hot seat and you're able to coach the person, and while you're coaching, the other participants are able to see their goals from the same perspective. That gives a good pathway. So typically in a session, if it's a 90-minute session, then maybe you can do hot seat with 2 or 3 people comfortably. So that's quite good. And the other things is, depending on the structure, you may want to involve a guest expert. That's purely the structure. Question answers. And sometimes what happens in the group coaching is when people become open and all, they may want questions around some things which are outside the engagement structure. So depending on the thing, we may address it, or we will direct them to somebody who's more relevant. So this is something which can become has to be handled very tactfully, because they will bring some organizational issues and ask you to seek get you to seek the answer from. And about getting them, I think the sessions to be in office hours. So a lot of people are very particular about holding these things in office hours. Okay.
So Sandeep,
Yeah.
Shweta has asked a question. Can you just
Yeah.
explain about hot seat a little bit more, or you want me to do it?
You can do it.
Okay. So Shweta, here the idea is, like Sandeep said, that the group coaching does not mean that a 1 hour session needs to be divided amongst all participants equally. What it means is that you can find, so for example, in typical groups, like Sandeep said, there are introverts and there are extroverts. So sometimes, like you do typically in groups, you invite somebody and put the spotlight on the person and then share that what the person has done towards the goal, how was the experience, what is the learning, etc., etc., and then let that person speak more, so that the other group members either learn from that person, understand, or contribute to that person, that okay, you know what, I have done it like this and that also works. So the idea is that because typically what happens in a group, that some participant may feel left out. So here the idea is that, kind of in a round robin thing, if you can, mentally, just get everybody onto the hot seat with the spotlight, so the person knows that, okay, I am also part of the group. So Shweta, is that clear, or you need more clarity? Okay, Sandeep, I think we can.
Yeah. Okay. So I think then the issues about people needs aren't being met. Sometimes, this can manifest in terms of there is low level of participation, or uh, then we need to look at what's going right or what's not going right, and because that leads to either low level of participation in the session, or there could be plain absenteeism. So how do we get them engaged? I think in the first 2 sessions, sometimes we may have to pull in people, especially when it's a very large group, like, more than 12 people. But after that, I think it's about the coach has to put an effort in terms of understanding and how to engage them. Here, what I also um, have experienced, which is a very important success factor, is when people say, what happens in a lot of these sessions, because we are doing in a group, and large groups, sometimes we are doing, and somebody says something, and so the best practice is, if next time you ask the person, okay, last time you had said this, and then that person starts appreciating that you are really taking note, and then they are a little more aware, and then they start getting more engaged, because then they are just not a number there. So for that, I think if it's a very large group, you may want to have an assistant also. If the group is like more than 15 people or something, you may want to get somebody by your side who will keep on recording key points and other things, so that the next call starts with the previous call, some of the things that we picked up, some of the key things of that person, which could be either around the goals, or it could also be around personal life, because sometimes somebody will say, I've not been able to make progress because my mother was not well, so I had to take care of that, or something else. And when you bring that topic, or like, I had a blood pressure issue and I had to go to the doctor, and next time when you tell, so how's your blood pressure now, so that improves the person's involvement manifold. So I think, so it has to be personalized. So group doesn't mean that we just look at them as goals, nothing else. So we need to record those, what are they looking at. Other thing is, sometimes they may challenge you, and for that, it could be a function of, so as a coach, I think we need to be flexible. First to listen which space the individual is coming around. Sometimes also we need to professionally challenge them back. And third thing is, if we see that, it's getting disruptive for the group, then we may want to handle it outside the session. These are some of the common pitfalls. So I'll share, basis my experience. I just have structured a format around what are the things that we look for, I think, on group coaching. So at WhiteLight, we have this 6C methodology. So one is around content. You need content as a starting point. But because this is not really training or mentoring, you need sometimes behavioral content or things like to spark a conversation. Second is in terms of the context. You need to know the context of the situation. For example, if a particular group, the participants in a particular group, they already are experiencing some challenges outside of the group in the company. So if you know that, then you can be cognizant of that. Third is about connecting with the individual. This can start because most of the times in team coaching, individuals may know each other. It's just that after the group coaching, they end up knowing each other more deeper at a personal level. So connect. So as a coach, it's good to communicate with them before the session. One good practice is you could probably send them a mail introducing yourself, and also share something individual about yourself and invite them to share something personal about themselves. So I'm using the word invite so that some people may share, some may not, which is fine. Then is around commitment coaching. Congratulate. I think we need to congratulate people who do success so that there are successes within the group, so that there can be role modeling done within the among the participants. So that's very crucial. And even in small ways, we are able to congratulate them. It is immensely, it can make the way forward. When I'm doing group coaching, typically I follow a 10-30-90 rule. The way I look at it is that the group coaching session, coach is like, I'm just using a metaphor. So it's like a dentist, and the individual needs to go to the dentist regularly, but more important is, are they brushing their teeth? So, what I follow is 10-30-90, which means that sessions are of 90 minutes each. Okay, so let's assume that typically fortnightly sessions are there of 90 minutes each. And every week, small pods of 4 people each. So if it's a 12-member group, then there will be 3 pods, accountability pods, and they will meet for an hour each. And then there is a structure around that. And on a weekly basis, they'll meet, and daily, I get them to write a journal, which is a set of identified questions, which are using technology. They log onto the portal and they are able to put, so that their awareness about that they need to take action or they need to think about it is enhanced, because ultimately it's about moving the needle for them. So these 3 things work good. At an individual level, they are thinking daily. At a group level, they get together weekly, and coaching happens either at a fortnightly level or 3 weeks. Any questions around it? So I'll share with you a case study.
Sandeep, can I ask a question? Sorry.
Yeah, please. Who's speaking?
Yeah, Renu, this side again.
Yeah.
See,
Yes.
when you say that, each session is going to be 90 minutes,
Yes.
okay, and, it's predefined. So the content, you said somewhere that it's predefined. So what happens, if after one session that, we decided, okay, we are going to do this particular thing in next 15 days. So is it the sessions for you which you design are predefined, or you also leave a scope, like an individual coaching, where the coach
Yeah.
can actually go blank and,
Yeah, I got
same
it.
way, right?
So yes, so content means that you directly keep the content, right? Because
Okay.
we have to leave, because ultimately they will resonate with what are the challenges they are facing in the moment. Okay, so if we don't address them, so they need, so normally they would voice something, and we will figure out a way along it. Yeah, so it is open, huh? It is open to answer your question.
Okay.
So
Yes.
so it's not like 5 tips for something. It's not like a training that is there, content. It's open on that stuff.
Sure. Okay. That helps.
Like mentally, I may have, like, like for example, if I would want to share something directionally on emotional resilience or something, but that could be a passing thing. And also there also I would see whether during the group conversation, when they are speaking, that point has come, and then building on that might contribute, so that they can relate to that. So I'll tell you, so I'm just sharing with you a case study. So this is for a large FMCG major, and here I was handling, in the group coaching they are covering 252 sales managers pan India, and so as I told you that this was pre-COVID, so this was 18 groups of 14 managers each, and so over 4 months I was supposed to work and with them, and for each of these people, so this was the first time they were embarking on a group coaching thing, and it coincided with two things actually. So one is that they wanted to do this thing, and second is they also wanted to really create a safe space for the participants to just speak out, because they thought the sales team is under tremendous pressure. So before the sessions itself, we first worked on the goals with them, and in this specific case we were focusing on personal impact and business impact. So in personal impact, like I've shared, so there was a wheel of life, and that was done, and from there they chose their personal goal. Then second was in terms of their role clarity. So we wanted that everyone should be clear on what is their role, and second is around sales achievement on the business impact. So this was on the business impact, and the third was on coaching. How do they motivate and engage and facilitate the performance of their team members? So this was the thing, I think, and we started, we worked with them on even basic things, like for example on coaching, so they wanted to do but they didn't want to start, and then with the team members it was about getting to know their team members personally, or so we took small actions toward these things, and then they snowballed into bigger things towards the end. Okay, so it's not that but this was the, so we set goals and we put the goals in a framework. So we we had sessions with the participants before we got into the group coaching. Any
Sandeep,
questions?
yeah, Sandeep, this is RK here. So the wheel of life you started before the contracted group coaching sessions
Yes, because
for
the
4 months. So this was over and above the contracted sessions.
yes, because the goals have to be before that. So in here, we picked up three things. So one was, like I said, personal impact, business impact, and coaching team members. These were the three things that they wanted to focus on. And we had separate sessions around how do they put work around the goals, so that, they are at a same level. Otherwise, sometimes the goals are very ambitious. Somebody says, I want to be a continuous learner. I mean, nothing can be done about this. So we have to help the participant craft it in a manner that they can work on it. And
Sorry, Sandeep, was this Wheel of Life was an individual activity or again a group activity?
individual. So we got, see, individuals, the goals have to be individual,
Okay.
right? But what
Right,
we did was,
right.
what we did was that you need to have a common lens. So for example, if everyone is sales manager, so we gave them the freedom to choose that you can pick up any area of your personal life that you want to pick up, but you do assessment and then you pick up any area of the life.
Sandeep, I'm just thinking, I'm practically telling you, does it happen ever with you that, you have gone with an intent to coach or a team coach on a client facing skill, let's say again, and the person, when you individually did a Wheel of Life, you realize this, forget about the sales skill. This guy is struggling somewhere with the spiritual goals, and he in his head, because of whatever reasons, he feels that he's doing this job only for a paycheck to run the family, or this doesn't come naturally to him, but he's feeling stuck. So in such scenario, I'm just thinking, as a coach, uh, your individual calling as a coach will say something else to coach him, but your professional commitment like a coach to the organization will be something else. I mean, by the situation, it'll be like, whatever it is,
No,
हमको तो
okay.
coach करना है on a sales skill.
No, it's okay. I understood your question. The thing is why I insisted on the personal thing is because when they make progress on these things, they really are able to come. So in this case, I'll tell you what were the key areas that came out. Okay, and there could be some exceptions, but broadly that came out was around uh, health, finance, and also about being able to speak English fluently. I mean,
Correct.
that's a big area, big area. I mean, it's kind of a leveling on self-esteem is linked to speaking English kind of a thing. And then when people started supporting each other, they were able to make a lot of progress. So like the team members help other individuals start SIPs, or on the health side, they started, sharing, posting their photographs or telling that what they will be doing, like exercise and all. The other people started. Because of that, people start energy levels in the business side also improves. They were able to go to office, the way they were approaching, because physical is directly related to mental health and your performance. So I am not so concerned about because if they work on that area, it will definitely impact the business area. So your question was that it will not impact, so I might be forced to downplay that area of wheel of life.
Yes, Sandeep. No, my question was in the wheel of life. You're applying, and like I said, you've gone there to enhance the communication skills. That's the agenda you've been given by the organization,
Hmm.
that you need to work on the communication skills for these leaders.
Hmm.
But you realize when you're individually speaking to them, you realize that half of them are actually, how do I say? Let me just
Yeah.
give you a little hypothetical. Half of them are struggling with the fact that, you know what, we've been really trying hard, but my organization is not paying me so well. Yeah, why should we? We are just doing a okay
Oh,
job. You're getting
you,
my
you,
point now.
you got a good point. So these kind of
Yeah.
issues are also raised. So now this has to
Yeah.
be handled very tactfully, because the things
Hmm.
are that, see, there are two things. One is that, and that's why actually in the initial session, norm setting is very crucial. So you will say, what you say, for example, you would focus on the, what is constructive or positive. Okay. So I had to do a little bit of norm setting, but still it came out the issues that you are saying. Like for example, we are doing this, salary is not getting paid on time, and blah blah, lot of issues. Surprisingly, there were a lot of issues. So then I sat with the company also. There were some of the issues that they could, things that these individuals could do, which they are not doing. For example, they can. So just to give you an example, so there are some things like, somebody has done so many years in this specific case I'm telling, in the job, then they're eligible for something, they're not applying only for that. Okay. Then some people are saying that I want, so even half the people are saying that we want to improve our English. Company is giving a paid course, they are not using that. So I listen to you. So actually I say that, first you focus on what is available to you. Okay. Because the other piece also you can revisit definitely, but a lot of times what is available, you are not taking advantage of that. But Renu, I hear you, because the issues can come, like for example, that some of the team members are outsourced, and the company is paying the distributor, who is in turn is paying this guy, so the salary gets delayed. But actually the company has to take at a national level the decision whether the salaries should, third party vendor, they should enroll. So that is the organizational level issues. So those also came. So I can tell you how did we handle that, but we need to sidestep some of them, because really that is difficult. Like, the payroll decision, like to get a third party payroll provider, that's an organizational decision. Are you
Okay.
with me?
Sure.
It's just,
No, I got the point. Yeah, I'll speak to you in case
yeah,
required
yeah,
these
yeah.
offline
I
also.
have, I had got these issues.
Yeah.
So
But
Sandeep, time,
yeah,
time.
so okay. So we quickly tell. So move ahead.
Yeah.
So key impact areas, I think so. What came out from the case study, like we did with a large set of people, like it's 250 plus. I think most of the people recommended group coaching as an effective tool, and people, for them, 56% of participants had a direct impact on the business results. But what I really liked is, everyone says about peer-to-peer learning. So 82% of the participants experienced peer-to-peer learning, which helped in their goal achievement. So I think this is the big takeaway. The other thing is, we saw a lot of benefit in terms of best practices getting transferred nationally. So 50%, 51% of the people were able to implement best practices from the other groups. So that was big, and I can share the details Any questions around it before we move ahead? So I'll quickly go through the portal, maybe 5 minutes, because we're already, I think, over time, right? So we'll just quickly go through it. So I'm just sharing a technology you could use, but this is optional because you can do group coaching without the technology also. There are other ways of using technology. So this is a coaching portal that we have put across, which basically covers all the things. Like it gives an overview, it covers metrics, and in terms of group projects, accountability, and from a coaching perspective, it has been built. And it also has a manager level access, which we can give at different levels. Not everything, because some of the things might be confidential sessions, but between the sessions, if there's something to be shared. What it does is it shares, all the things are at one place. So we communicate through the portal, all the progress reports, action points, and also you can give any worksheets or any training or anything that's up to supplement. You can do it through here. I'm just sharing our portal view. This is how it looks like. So I'll quickly go through it because the focus was on group coaching. So like when you said about how to make things exciting, like, so for this salesperson, you can see that they can see the metrics moving on a daily basis. They can work around it. And also it can tell a story. We can also deliver training through it if you would want to do it. So this has been created more from a coaching perspective. It's not a LMS. And groups can work together also, because people work better in groups. So we can have separate group projects set up. So normally that's what we do. And they can track their progress and communicate in a single secure place. Yes, and I think these are the two ways. And how you can engage is either you can engage with us, or we can train and develop internal coaches. These are the two ways we can have a conversation separately around it. And I leave the thing for question answers. If there are any questions, happy to answer that.
Sandeep, you specifically work for sales people or any?
No, across. So
Okay.
we do it. So basically, I coach CEO -1 and -2 levels on one-on-one coaching. And except that, I mean, for group coaching, normally companies are on sales, or it can be done for can be done for other set of people, because as long as you have goals and outcomes defined, it can work around that.
Okay, sure. And this WhiteLight is your platform, like,
Yes.
you.
So we've been doing it for last 8 years. So this is just a structure. I think on the group coaching, because there are a lot of questions, and I also had a baptism by fire, because when I started a year back, prior to that, we were doing only one-on-one coaching. So I thought, let me just share with the people. And super nice to
No,
have.
that's really helpful. Very, very helpful, Sandeep. Thank you so much. I know I was the one, at least who posted the first question, and then, all of us joined along with you. But thank you, really helpful.
I thought it's good to have it in one place, and always useful. So folks, and then we call it a day. And thanks everyone, and thanks Paramjit, and thanks everyone for making it on the weekend. Really appreciate.